Today, as the Summer Games Fest announcements start to gain some momentum, we got the announcement of Unreal Engine 5 and our first comprehensive look at next-generation graphics for next-generation consoles and high-end PCs. We also got to see it via actual PlayStation 5 gameplay, a tech demo that is straight-up PS5 code. There's a lot of technical information here, and some people were probably mad that this reveal wasn't like the next Batman game or anything, but this is still important for the next generation of video games, kind of regardless of what platform you play on. We're going to try to break down some of it here and see what's exciting. Unreal Engine has been one of the dominant engines games have been built on for quite some time. It's not some epic exclusive thing, it's not just a few games. If you play video games, there's like a 90% chance you've played one running on some form of Unreal. These tools that developers use to build their games. Unreal Engine 5, or V if you're nasty, is coming 2021, so expect it to be important to games you'll be playing on your high-end PC, PS5, or Xbox Series X. Sorry, Nintendo Switch, for now, I guess. Anyways, let's talk about the exciting, sexy graphic stuff. We're not super geniuses here, but we'll try to highlight the stuff that seems cool. So, this gameplay demo that, yes, it's not actual gameplay with a HUD, but it was a small game experience built and played on PlayStation 5 tech. This isn't going to be a game, just a small slice built to demonstrate. But they reiterated that this is actual PS5 gameplay. Their quote is, running live on a PlayStation 5. So one of the newest features touted first and foremost is Nanite, virtualized micropolygon technology. This is rethinking the traditional way polygons work in games and how games, worlds, and objects are built up. This is a system for building virtual geometry that, and I quote from them, can be imperceptible from high-quality, real-world scanned items. And this is down to a sub-pixel level. They touted movie-quality scanning lots of times and how things work in the movie industry already with Unreal and Epic technology, so now they're trying to make it easy to do stuff like that in games. Normal mapping apparently will also just kind of be a thing of the past with the way this scanning works. We got to see these high-quality statues made up of millions of triangles, and it looks amazing. The idea is that with this ultra-high-quality geometry, making games can get a tiny bit easier and give developers more time to focus on other details as well. Now, you can have super detailed photorealistic objects and environments thanks to tens of billions of these little triangles that build things up. If you watch the live stream, you probably recall them talking about triangles a lot. The most interesting takeaway was when Tim Sweeney complimented the PlayStation 5 architecture. They went into detail about how the game being built of so many millions of triangles can't all be in memory at once, but thanks to the high-speed I/O of the PlayStation 5 and next-gen stuff, the game will be able to stream in those triangles almost in real time as you move through the environment. So basically, what we've heard in the past by Xbox and PlayStation 5, touting their high-speed next-gen custom tech SSD read-write storage speeds, they've said it's game-changing, but now it's kind of being confirmed by a third-party company building this technology. Load times are going to be a thing of the past, the Unreal people expressed. Now that is something that, of course, I'm gonna take with a grain of salt. I need to see it to believe it, but the technology, on paper, does sound very exciting. A big part of what makes this new Unreal Engine is the jumps forward it makes in terms of lighting as well. So first up, Unreal Engine 5 features Lumen, which, according to them, is a fully dynamic global illumination solution that immediately reacts to scene and light changes. This even includes multi-bounce global illumination. What this actually means is that there's no light maps or baked lighting needed. It's all done through this Lumen system. It's kind of wild. In the demo, they show you how they can move the light source and the bounce changes instantly as the source moves. Now, what this ultimately means is that the engine can now be reactive by evaluating the lighting dynamics of a particular scene and adjusting in real time to changes in the environment, such as the introduction of new elements into the environment, like a realistic moving model of the sun, or the orb of light that character in the tech demo uses, or even a flashlight, and it does all regardless of scale, whether it be a small room or a wide open environment that goes on for miles. That dynamic illumination also means dynamic specular illumination. The way light hits and reflects off of some surfaces, and it continues to really help make more realistic lighting models, as we saw in the demo when they were using spot lighting in a dark cave and kept panning over metal pots and surfaces, and it all reacting accordingly. And, of course, we can't state this enough, it does all of that in real time. It's kind of insane. What's also really cool is that all of this incredible Lumen stuff is used in conjunction with the drastically overhauled and improved texturing and geometry capabilities introduced with that Nanite tech that we talked about before. So you're able to get fully dynamic, pixel accurate shadows that have the potential to really increase the level of photorealism we can see in games using Unreal Engine 5, because you have these real world scans. Yes, they're made of millions and bajillions of triangles, but the way light hits them, the way light works in conjunction with that, has to look convincing. That has to really sell it. So yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? Now, with the new lighting technology, of course, comes improvements in audio. This was only briefly touched upon, but audio reverberation in virtual spaces is going to be more defined, and we've already talked a bit in the past on how next-gen hardware makers are focusing on improvements in immersive audio, and just generally how sound can travel through game worlds like ray-traced light will. And even though this was kind of a brief mention, I expect to hear a lot more of it in the future. Then, of course, there's the Niagara system, the powered particle effects that are essentially smarter simulations. We got to see bats flock around in like a realistic, convincing formation. We got to see thousands of bugs all rendered scatter around on the ground and react in real time to the lighting systems with spatial awareness. It seems like it's got pretty complex stuff happening on like a micro scale, but in like a really impressive way. And along with that, of course, some animation improvements. This is probably going to be utilized more on a developer-to-developer basis, but still easier, seamless contextual animations. So when a character goes to do a new thing or interact with something, there's no stutter or small gap between what they do. We've also seen dynamic predictive foot placement that works with the amazing looking geometry we mentioned earlier. A more natural walk on the ground itself and all of the imperfections and stuff. So really, all of this stuff packaged and baked into the toolset developers use to make games means the future of games can be pretty exciting. All this stuff is cool. Also, like all that said, one more piece of Unreal Engine news that kind of flew under the radar is how Epic will continue to monetize the engine going forward. Now, it was buried at the very, very bottom of the official Unreal Engine blog post, but as of today, the day of this Unreal 5 announcement, anyone can download and use the previous Unreal Engine for free, as has been the case for a while now with Unreal Engine 4. But now, instead of paying royalties of 5% after a game makes $3,000 a quarter, developers will pay no royalties whatsoever until that revenue exceeds $1 million, which is now when that 5% kicks in, and that's wild. It continues to kind of lower the barrier to entry for a lot of fledgling developers, considering that if a smaller game doesn't really do numbers and never crosses that $1 million threshold, the engine usage is basically free, which is a very big deal. And look, obviously, we love games, so if more people can get out there and try and create the wildest things they can imagine and really experiment with the medium and what they can do with it at a much lower cost of investment and risk, we're going to chalk that up as a win. That combined with just the graphical goodness of today seems pretty sweet. Obviously, this demo looks gorgeous. Is it a real, actual video game demo? I'd say no, not really, but it's a real built thing running on the technology, which is still impressive, especially considering they applied it to what is very much what a game would be like. It's a girl running and jumping in a cave. We've played a lot of games already where there's a girl running and jumping in a cave, so it's believable. Believable, yeah, of course, but of course, maybe we should also add a healthy dose of a little skepticism, because we've seen tech demos before, we've been dazzled by tech demos before, that games don't really end up looking like, But I think it helps that the fact that we're talking about a tool set thing, a real world thing that developers will use, not just some sort of like highfalutin concept video, that maybe we are closer to the actual reality here. Of course, we need to see this all implemented already. There's still a lot of questions, like how many developers actually have their hands on earlier versions of this tool? What's it finally going to look like when it's fully out in 2021? Ray tracing and how that's implemented hasn't really been mentioned. They said 4K resolution, but didn't really go much more into that. And of course, the stream itself was only of so much quality, and I think that's going to be a big thing for this next generation. I've said this before. Bottom line is, some of this stuff isn't going to look that exciting on a live stream. You really have to see it running on hardware in front of you on a great high resolution, high refresh rate monitor in front of you to really appreciate the improvements. Still, we love talking graphics, so we're looking forward to hearing what you guys think in the comments. Hopefully we helped you learn a thing or two. Sorry if we messed up some of our notes, but we're not game developers, but we're trying to just get get some things across. We just like to hear from you guys in the comments what you think about, the future of video game graphics, the PlayStation 5 glimpse we saw here, just next generation graphics in general, load times. Let's talk all of that. If you enjoyed this video, maybe you learned something, clicking the like button and sharing with a friend legit helps us out. And if you're new, maybe consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But either way, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.